how, now that I have stressed you out talking about stress, how do I manage stress? And one thing to keep in mind before we go into some of these stress management techniques is not everything will work for everyone. So, trying out different stress management techniques is the best way to find what works best for you. And to start us off, I think that my number one stress management technique is not actually listed, which is playing video games. Legend of Zelda and Super Mario are my go-to since 1980. I'm not saying the rest of that number, stress management technique. So let's talk about some of the specific recommendations besides playing video games. Reducing type A behaviors. So there is a line of research that says that individuals might have what we call type A behavior patterns. These are individuals who are competitive, they're critical, they can kind of blow things out of proportions. They're focused on winning, on being perfect, on like achieving every single goal, and they're driven and they may not get enough sleep and they may rush other individuals who aren't type A. So that might lead to greater productivity, but it also leads to burnout. It leads to mental health disorders. It leads to physical health disorders, including increased risk of heart disease. So reducing some of those type A behaviors can help to reduce your stress. How do you reduce some of those type A behaviors? We're going to talk about some of these additional stress management techniques to reduce stress, but also they have a side effect of lowering these type A behaviors.
One way to look at stress management is through self-care. Sometimes I like to get myself on a sleep schedule when I know I have a bunch of assignments coming up or the school year is beginning so that I'm getting enough sleep in order to get work done and attend courses on time. Another thing I like to do for self-care is I like doing face mask and having myself do a little spa day just so I can relax and de-stress and like feel like super clean and relaxed. I know a lot of people like to exercise, so a lot of people will find different things they like to do. For me, I like to go penny boarding or skateboarding. I also like to take my dog for a walk. Even though it's something small, it still gets me outside and moving and away from work and my laptop for school, which is really nice.
Another aspect is cognitive, or pretty much our thoughts, how we think about things. And so, with this, there's a lot of lists here of different ways we think and perceive things. But a few of the main ones would be changing our expectations. So, throughout college, you're going to have plenty of expectations that you want to go a certain way. So, you want to get a certain grade, you want to meet certain people, you want to get a certain amount of friends, whatever it may be. Go to as many parties as you want to. There's anything, we all go to college for different reasons, but we set these expectations, and sometimes these expectations just don't happen, and that can cause us to be stressful. And so we kind of have to change it, so we may have to alter it. So maybe if you wanted to go to plenty of parties, especially with COVID-19, you can't. So maybe it's like, well, why don't I change this expectation to 1 or 2 parties that I can have with some close friends so I can still experience that in college? And maybe you wanted to go take, get A's on your exam, but it's just stressing you out. You can't study that much. So maybe aim to get a B, because a B is still a great grade, even C's. I mean, we all heard the saying that C's get degrees. So whatever you can get, set that to be your new expectation, because sometimes an A in a class can just be too stressful and too hard. And so it's okay to lower that expectation as long as you are doing your best. Changing your self-talk is a big one too. So we all kind of have our inner thoughts, and they kind of regulate how we do things and what we do. So your inner thoughts may be telling you have to be perfect, you have to be good. And this actually goes to reducing perfectionist behaviors as well down below. So we have this perfect mentality that we tell ourselves we have to be perfect, we have to be amazing, we have to get 100% on everything. That's just not true. We are not capable of being able to get 100% and be great at everything. It's just too much stress and too hard on our body. So maybe changing our self-talk and telling us, a 90 is okay, an 80 is okay. It may also be telling yourself, you have a couple close friends, that's enough. You don't need to have 100. It's just changing how you see life and how you perceive those stressors, as well as learning to say no. So in college, you'll be given plenty of opportunities, especially here at Newark. And one of the major things is being able to see that you have too much going on and telling people that you just can't do that because you want to concentrate and do well at school, or you want to make more money, so you want to up your hours at work. Just being able to tell people you cannot put more on your plate is a big aspect that could help your stress, because we are not perfectionists. We cannot do everything. And that's a huge thing that a lot of kids it's really hard for them to wrap their mind around, especially in college. And so just changing that mindset and knowing that you can reduce things and that it's okay is a huge help. And so we have this kind of cognitive appraisal. So this is going back to that thought process. And so we have a stressful event. So in this case, this says that you have a tough math test. And, math is a really hard subject, and it's going to cause a lot of us to feel like we're inadequate when we don't do well on it. So with this stressful event, we can have both primary and secondary responses to that. So this primary one is that appraisal. So first your brain is going to kind of be like, do I have this? Can I accept this challenge? Am I good at it? Or it's going to get afraid and it's going to be like, I can't do this. And so we can kind of go through those two different scenarios. So if you said, you can't do this, you're inadequate, you're not able to, get a good grade on this math exam, what's going to happen is a secondary response in which we are going to be stressed to distraction, is what they call it. But pretty much the secondary response, it's going to see what resources we have and it's going to cope with that. But what you're saying is you don't have anything. You say you can't do it. And so this response is pretty much you're just going to be overstressed and you're not going to be able to handle it. But on the other hand, if you say, I've got this, I can do it, I'll study, I'll put in the work, that's going to lead to a different response, in which, in this case, it says you're going to be aroused and focused. So you're going to want to do good. You're going to want to aim high, and you're going to sit there and you're going to take the test being really focused on it and trying your best. And so it's just that idea of those two different paths, whether you really don't believe in yourself and you are not okay with it, or on the other hand, you say you've got it and you put a positive mindset and you actually go forth. And this is a big thing, especially with math exams, because math is a really hard subject and you're going to hit hard subjects in school. And so being able to have that positive mindset going into it can really help you focus on the exam instead of a downward spiral until you can't do the exam and you stress yourself out.
We can also measure management stress and behavioral aspect. So one way is to live a balanced life. You can kind of put yourself on a schedule, but we also know that's really hard during COVID because a lot of people tended to stop going to gyms and stop carrying out those gym memberships to stay fit and stay active because there's too many germs. Some people may not even spray down machines themselves, but there's always a way to do it at home through videos on YouTube and seeing different ways you could do your own exercises at home for living a balanced life behaviorally. It's also good to take short breaks, even if you need to step away from work or step away from things. And sometimes it might be hard taking those breaks when you're living with your family or if you're living with friends and you just seem like you can't get away because there's not many places you can go to during COVID right now. But it's always good to just maybe just sit in your room, take some quiet time to yourself and just relax for a little bit. You should also reward yourself because you can always kind of give yourself markers like if I get this much stuff done, I'll watch an episode of this, or if I get this much stuff, I'll watch a movie, or if I get this stuff done, I'll go do something. So it kind of like rewarding yourself makes you also take a break because you get to enjoy that reward, but also you get time to relax and just decompress from all the stress going on in your life. And it's very nice to relax.